All right, here we are, 2024. We are so excited because we got some special guests in the show, and it's the start of Carnival season. Let's get rolling. All right, so as I mentioned in the top of the show here, it is Carnival season. And what is Carnival season? Well, there's a lot of different ways to describe it, and it means different things to different people across the world, actually. And it's got deep roots in religion. And also it happens to be, today in particular, happens to be the starting day, which is also referred to as the Epiphany. And I, being a good little Catholic boy, forgot everything from school. So I'm going to bring in my cousin, and you guys remember him from our last year, and we're going to just kind of get rolling with him. So, David, how you doing?
Hey, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. It's
Trying to find this good place for this mic. That's not
well,
too bad.
it's picking you up pretty good.
Yeah, okay.
So,
Yeah.
so again, going back to Carnival season,
Mm-hmm.
the way that it's, I read it on, various websites and everything, and it is, there's a lot of different ways to describe it. And, it has roots in, or the season itself has roots in Spanish culture, French culture, and obviously, down in Brazil, that's a big place to celebrate Carnival or Carnival or however you want to do it, where they wear the dental floss during the parades. In New Orleans, they just kind of throw caution to the wind and just go, you know what, we don't need dental floss, but that's a whole nother topic we'll discuss
Some
later.
of them need a lot more than dental floss.
Yeah, that's right. Some of them you're just like, hey, look, put them away. They probably had their day. It's best to keep them holstered at this
50
point.
years ago.
Yeah. So, and there is a thing about, how people earn their beads. But again, that's, we're going to save some of that for the after show after all, because that is the part where we kind of don't have a script. We take anything that we can discuss and everything, and we have fun with it. And today is going to be an interesting one because we're going to discuss, there seems to be an ongoing trend that I'm seeing on social media. And for some reason this year, I'm seeing it more that I've seen in the past, and that is, when is it okay to start eating king cakes? Now, that's a discussion. We'll get to king cakes in a second. But going back to Carnival, the way I've been reading it, this is tied to when the three kings came across infant Jesus, and it was this is the 13th day after Christmas. So the 12 days of Christmas are over. Right. The 13th day is today. And the Christmas season is officially over. So for those of you who still have trees up, please take them down. It's time to take them down. All right.
I'll do that right after the show.
So we've got, this now new season, Carnival season. And it's funny because a lot of people in the United States and the world use New Year's as a resolution time where almost often they want to lose weight. And people in the South, particularly New Orleans, are like, the hell with that. We'll get to it when Lent comes around. Yeah. And that's when the gyms are pretty empty anyway, because all the people failed in their New Year's resolutions from January 1st. So, you give yourself about 40 days and the gyms clear out, and then you're back to being able to exercise. But again, I get off on a tangent. So it has religious connotations. I think the Roman Church recognized it in 4 AD, and it has been a part of Christian culture for, 1,600 years now at this point. Yeah. So what, in terms of its significance to you, what do you, because I know that you were a bit miffed about people kind of celebrating Carnival season a bit early. And it's, it's not like we're the Carnival police or anything like that.
Oh, no.
But what I mean, your take on what you're, as far as what Carnival means to you and the region.
Yeah, I mean, some of it, I guess the benefit I have of being in Mobile versus being further away like you are is that, and we'll talk about it either later, is the whole great debate of who invented Mardi Gras or who had the first Mardi Gras in the United States.
That'll
And
be a good one.
s- so Mobile's got a rich Mardi Gras culture. And as such, since my interest steer toward Louisiana and Mobile subjects, I get inundated with a lot of people who will post. It's like day after, even Christmas night. All right, Christmas is over. All I want is king cake now, and I'm
Yeah.
like, come on, people. I mean, you got to have a break in seasons and such. And I'm trying to figure out. I mean, I like Christmas. I mean, of
Yeah.
course, it's always freaking hectic, but to me, uh, the whole thing about hurrying on to Mardi Gras, which I'm not as big a fan of the parades. I'm certain aspects of it. I'm more of, like I said before, into the foods of Mardi Gras
Sure.
and to the into and the the opportunity to get quote unquote stuff out of your system before going to being penitent at Lent.
Right.
I see all the need for it, and I think it's a good thing. It's just that some ways that it's commercialized
Right.
uh, is kind of annoys me, but that's my personal preference. Other people live, I mean, here in Mobile, you can used to be able to. I think they've changed it where once Carnival starts, and they can send their RVs and campers down underneath the overpass
Right.
or in certain parking lots for 2 weeks, and that they'll take their whole 2 week vacation,
Yep.
and that's their thing. That's fine.
Hmm.
But like I said, to me, it's all everything all in its time, and so
Sure.
uh, the I will touch on a little bit later, but anyway, the schools ended up selling some Christmas king cakes,
Yes. Yes.
and I can't really fault the schools when purveyors are making them out of season. So I guess we'll
Yeah. We'll get
swing
to that
around to that
debate.
in a bit.
We'll
Yeah,
get to that debate. So Carnival season lasts. So a lot of people, inaccurately, I guess, uh, associate this season as Mardi Gras season. Mardi Gras itself
right,
is a day. Mardi
correct.
Gras translated from French means Fat Tuesday. Fat Tuesday, Mardi
Yep.
Gras, they're interchangeable. That is the
Hmm.
day before Ash Wednesday, which is the start of the Roman Catholic Lent season.
Hmm.
And so the gear up now is 40 days or so. This year's a little bit shorter, but
Yeah,
we have 40 days or so of revelry, as it were. And the
hmm,
reality is that it's not like people are getting trashed every day during Carnival season, and it really is that weekend before Mardi Gras where things start to get a little chaotic. But there's
yeah,
there's parades and crews and crew, by the way, for those of you who are from out of state, is spelled Krewe because we like to do things different. Now, actually, it has historical connotations, but the crews are what run the parades, and then they
yeah,
usually culminate with a major event at the end, typically a ball, and
yeah.
that's when you party, and the people pay a lot of money to be in these crews,
Yeah.
and they get
And to their credit, they pay a lot of money to be in the cruise, not just from a membership standpoint, but they're providing all the throws that they give to the public,
right.
and essentially throwing their money
Yeah,
at
throwing
the
their money
people.
away.
But we all get to enjoy that to a certain extent, and so
Sure.
we appreciate their efforts for that. So,
Yep, and
but
we
anyway,
have some cousins that are on one of the crews, and I think
hmm,
they will be this year, and so hopefully we'll get a chance to talk with them before they roll on the Sunday before Mardi Gras.
yeah,
So that should be an interesting conversation because I've seen pictures. They tend to have quite a
yeah,
bit of fun.
hmm,
Traditionally, the people who are celebrating Carnival wear masks. Now, that's not necessarily the parade goers, but the people that are on the floats typically wear masks if they're part of a crew, like a formal crew. right?
Mhm.
So that is when you see the pictures of the people on the floats tossing beads and all kinds of different things. Those are all called throws, by the way. What David mentioned,
Yeah.
they're called throws, and throws can be anything. Well, not anything. They put the kibosh on throwing some stuff, but can't throw people
Yeah.
overboard. Um,
No,
but
some fall off though, but
some do fall off. You're right, but it's
yeah.
you have cups, beads, doubloons just being usually
Yeah.
associated with the the crew itself and the year that
Yeah.
crew is rolling. Although, if you get to the later parades that are usually just family members getting together on the truck parades, you
Yeah.
get doubloons from 20 years
Years
ago.
past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder,
So we had a I was
you
gonna
know,
say we had a comment, hey, from, Images by Gretchen.
oh, images. Gretchen's here. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, Gretchen was actually down. Actually, let me pull up my comments page because I didn't have that there. All right.
Yeah, I didn't wanna interrupt you, but I just wanted to acknowledge her.
Oh, there she is. Hey, Gretchen.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gretchen went down to New Orleans last weekend for the Sugar Bowl. And
Okay.
being a UW fan, she saw them whip up on the Longhorns. Well, not really a whoop up. That was
Mhm.
down to the wire. Washington almost pulled a Saints move and let the games
Oh
slip
god.
away. But in any case, that this is with it being the start of Carnival season. There's a lot of things that take place.
Yeah.
And one of the more traditional elements of Carnival season is the King Cake. And of course, that's
Yep.
what we're here to talk about today. Uh, the King Cake it also has a very storied history. It started back in Europe,
Mhm.
filled with almonds originally, and as a French pastry. And I wrote it down somewhere, and it has a name. Do you remember the name?
Yeah, it's something like Galette de Roi or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
My
yeah,
French is
exactly.
horrible.
Yeah, that's okay. Mine is too. That's why we got to get Jordan on the show. He can school us a little bit. Of
Yeah.
course, we'll all speak, Acadian French, but hey, I'll take that over,
Yeah.
just
Parisian.
yeah,
Yeah.
right, exactly. So we've got the these cakes with the long history, and one of the things that interests people who are not from the region is there is a little trinket inside, and that
Yeah.
trinket has become a tiny little baby
Right.
over the years. It used to be, it was all kinds of stuff. I mean, there was, I think there was fruits in there for one,
Yeah,
and
I think some of the originals were like a bean.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
bean was one.
I found an article from 1854 talking about. I mean, this is an old Creole tradition. We'll get into later about Mardi Gras history and
Right.
such. But some of the early Creoles, uh, Creole being the folks who lived in New Orleans, so it was the descendants of the Europeans as well as the Creoles of color had by the early 1800s. Once again, as you pointed out, whether you are very religious or not, New Orleans is very Catholic and still
Yes.
remains culturally a Catholic city.
Yes.
And so part of that is that, we celebrate Christmas as being the big Christmas Eve and Christmas is the being the big day. But then really what you had in the New Orleans area in South Louisiana was New Year's Day was even bigger. They'd make more of a deal of I guess Christmas was maybe a little holier. New Year's might have been a little more frivolity. I mean, now
Hmm.
you get things like if you had your gifts were things like satsumas or oranges.
Yeah.
You get a piece of fruit and maybe a new pair of shoes or something. I don't remember, but but
Hey,
this,
man, that's what the in thing was back then. It's
yeah. But part of it too goes. There was also Réveillon, which was the all night staying up,
right.
midnight mass and dinners and stuff. But that all became one progression along those 12 days of Christmas that led us to the Epiphany.
Right.
And so they were still partying and having balls. And like you said, one of the big things was the either from the French or the Spanish was this tradition of this cake.
Right.
And I think in a lot of cases, one of the articles I was reading, it was just talking about how the the young ladies, I don't know if it was just the men, but you'd each get a slice of this cake, and there was something like a ring or a bean or some souvenir,
Right.
and then you ended up, if you were, and it seemed to be very popular among the younger folks. So probably our kids would be involved in doing these type of things than maybe us older folks. And so they'd cut the cake, and then young
We're
man would
not that old,
get
David. Come on.
get the bean. It's all relative. Back in the
Yeah.
200 years ago, we'd be ancient.
I know
Um,
that's true. Would be the
but
elders of the community.
yeah, but so anyway, the young man would get the bean or whatever, and whoever struck his fancy, he'd give it to him. So all these girls, the article was talking about how they were just praying that the special young man would get that bean and give them that souvenir. And so, and then there's other things where it talked about whoever found the bean or the trinket or was king for the day.
Right.
And I think it's morphed into now you also have to host the next king cake party.
Correct. And there seems to be some very. I've been scouring the social channels. The rules are getting hardcore, man. It's like the Saints have in their, well, it appears to come from the Saints, at least. They have their rules about, if you get the baby, you buy the next king cake. That's the way it works. If you see the baby, you have gotten the baby and you buy the next king cake. Yeah. So if you get the little legs sticking out of a piece, you've seen it. That's it. You can't kind of shove it back in. So I whatever. I mean, it's kind of funny, but you know what? We should probably show people what the heck we're talking about with these king cakes, because they are very distinct looking. And so we've got yours. Now you made this in-house, right? So you got the Mom Papa's mix, and which had the praline filling for the king cake, and then you made it all yourself. And this is your second attempt, you said?
Well, this is probably in the various iterations of king cakes I've made, probably about the fourth or fifth king cake I've made.
Okay.
The very first one I made was a Mom Papa's that my other grandmother gave me the mix for in 1998, I think. And I cooked it. Actually, I think I cooked it out of season, so sorry. But that was one of the first pictures that I have of an old one of my first food porn pictures, if you will, of food. And so, and then and then I made one from scratch. And there's been various books that talked about making them using cinnamon rolls, like the Grand's brand of cinnamon rolls. Please don't make those, folks. They get too dry. And then I found one when I had my small cottage kitchen business in Mobile. There was a guy who had a bakery here in the 70s and 80s, and he made he called it a Mobile version, but he tried to decorate it in the colors of what he understood the first Mardi Gras colors were, which in the article it said green and gold. And I believe the real colors are purple and gold from Mobile.
Right.
And it's basically a brioche cake.
Right.
And a brioche, kind of a sweet, dry coffee cake.
Right.
And today, and yesterday and today has been like I said, fourth or fifth one I've done. And probably the easiest one. Oh, I made one from John Folse's recipe years ago too.
That was entirely from scratch, though. Right.
That and the brioche one are probably the more time took a lot more time on my hands to put together than this one did.
Okay. So let's take a look at your outcome. All right. So David, this is the Mom Papa's mix. This is the box, and there is a very long history of the king cake that, unless you are a speed reader, you're not going to catch all of this.
You can find it on their website.
Yes,
sure.
you can. And I did put links to this particular product on the YouTube and Facebook descriptions.
So this is the kit. I mean, it comes filling and glaze. The first thing you saw was the mix, and then those are your three colors, your traditional colors, which they tell you about what they mean. I thank you, Ben. And then just like with their other mixes that we've done before, like I said, I mean, this is all I needed was an egg and some water that was about 120 to 130 degrees.
Right.
And that'll be coming up in a minute. But you just mix the yeast and their mix.
So you're basically
Um,
activating the yeast at this point, right?
yeah, when you put that warm water in
Yeah,
there.
when you
Yep.
put the warm
And then
water.
some soft butter, like a stick of butter.
Of course. Got to have a stick of butter.
Yeah. Now, there are instructions. You actually could do it in two ways. You can do like I've got with the dough hook and
Yep.
beat it for about 3.5 minutes, or there's a heavy duty plastic bag, Ziploc bag in there, maybe not a Ziploc brand, but think of it along the caliber of a freezer bag.
Okay.
And then you can knead it in that bag for like 15 minutes. And I think that might have been what I did some 26 years ago when I made the first one.
You have a dough hook. That's way better.
Yeah, I didn't. Well, I got the dough hook after I got married, so I didn't have that then.
Right. I mean, trust me, doing beignets on Sunday mornings at the brewery, that would have been hell if I had to hand mix every batch. I wouldn't have done that. But that's looking good already.
Yeah, so you let it rise, then you do a floured surface, and like I learned from the beignet mix, make sure that I had plenty. I mean, I had mine too sticky. This worked out perfect with that, and I just get it floured, and you can see how fast I'm working. Coffee's kicked in.
Yeah, and so you're just you're kind of rolling it. You're going to roll it out at this point, if I recall correctly, and then this is where you insert the filling. Is that correct?
Yeah. So what you'll do is you'll make it like a 5-inch wide by 30-inch long rectangle.
Okay.
And so you'll just get that as close as you can to rectangular form, and then the filling mix, the praline mix that comes with it, you just melt 2 tablespoons of butter and you mix that. And then, like I said, it smelled just like the mix for the pralines we did a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
And I could have put pecans in here, but one of my daughters has got a nut allergy. So I just did that as is. Now, I think what a lot of people equate with the most store-bought king cakes is the cinnamon flavor. And this is totally different in flavor.
Right. So you've actually partook in your king cake.
Well, in the past too, but yeah, I did. I had to lick the knife when I cut it.
Of course you do. And does the knife stay in the box at your house, or does it come out?
Well, not this one because it was a sharp one. But usually, usually we'll leave the knife in the box. If I lick it, I'm not gonna put it back in.
Well, it's family, It's
yeah, I know, but still,
the girls will be gross.
Girls too. They get a little.
Ew, boy germs.
Yeah. So anyway, then you got to try to mold it without that filling coming out.
Right.
So I keep trying to. So this makes a good this would make like a large size king cake.
Right.
The price of it, the mix was like $11 in Mobile, probably the same in Louisiana, and like I said, I let it rise again for another 30 minutes, basically double in size, and you bake it for 375 for 20 minutes.
Okay.
So there you see it. Some of the praline filling comes out.
Oozes out, I think, is the description we used the other day.
Oozed out, yeah.
And
then the glaze is just simply, I think it's just powdered sugar, honestly, and 2 tablespoons of water. I mean, 1 tablespoon of water.
Huh.
And some places you'll find the gold. You'll find like more of a thick icing on top.
Yeah.
Others will have a just the colored sprinkles, but this allows you to put this base down here of this powdered sugar.
Right.
And then there's your 3 colors: purple, green, and gold. And I think I had the definitions of what the color stood for. Purple is justice, green's faith, and gold is power.
There you go. So we need to make a saint's cake that's just all gold on top. Maybe they'll make the playoffs.
That's what I said. That's a problem. When you start eating king cake out of season, that's when you end up bringing in hurricanes and Saints losses and LSUs.
Mediocre season, I think, is what you refer to.
Yeah, below average.
Below average, okay. Well,
So then I just try to go through with the purple, green, and gold.
Right.
It's probably more like a half a teaspoon or a teaspoon per if you're trying to. Mine didn't quite get equal. The store bought ones will have people actually with little sprayers that
Right.
can kind of like airbrush it on there. Um,
Oh,
but
you got it
you
there.
know, yeah. So when you and then they tell you to go ahead and so in the old days, like we talked about, the baby or the bean would be inside
Right.
the king cake. But the claims about lawsuits and people choking on the baby now, they just encourage you to put it underneath it right before you
Yeah.
serve it.
I know. I remember that old kerfuffle when I was young, and I remember people claiming that they were choking on the baby. And this is the same people that go to McDonald's or go to Starbucks and they get a hot coffee, and then they wonder why they're scorched when they spill it on themselves.
Yeah.
You know, you know. So then I've got. Let's see. You sent me. I just want to show the one completed. The one you sent me with the cutaway, this cutout,
Yeah.
this is the cross section,
Yeah.
right? And that looks
So
great. I mean, that
yeah.
looks legit right there.
Oh, it is. It's very. As I said, I think it's what I would still call a brioche style.
Hmm.
It's got that sweetness and a little bit of hint of the maybe even like citrus or type of things that you might sense.
Yeah.
So if you go and get I won't name any names, but some mass produced supermarkets, some outside the Louisiana areas, and they create a king cake for you. A lot of times they'll end up with this dry,
Yeah.
I was going to say a word, something
That's for the after show.
cinnamon
Remember?
cinnamon roll. Yeah.
We've got
And
that.
I mean,
Right,
yeah,
so-
that's what I need. The king cake in and of itself it's more of a coffee cake. You need a coffee or milk or something
Mhm.
because just in general it's not a overly moist cake.
Right.
Thank you, Gretchen. But but as far as like I said, this goes perfect with a cup of coffee, and that's like I said what I believe from the old 1910 recipe I found. That was the kind of cakes that were being sold as or given as king cakes. Was the brioche style,
Right.
and I think toward the end of this episode we can talk a little bit that I think what you'll find is that a lot of the Mardi Gras traditions are, even though we would like to think that they are traditional or set in stone, I think they've ever been moving. Uh, they're very dynamic and
Right.
in flux all the time. And
Yep.
so, um, and but I'll collect my thoughts and I'll let you. Oh, that was what I was gonna say. I think what we know of as king cake today, there was a book out and I'll have to find it, but is basically what Mackenzie's Bakery in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, maybe just in the 50s and 60s, kind of was selling around New Orleans. That's the purple, green, and gold colors and what
Right.
we know today.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that's that Mackenzie's cake was in retrospect was yeah. We'll leave it at that. Well, we have our king cake here. I'm going to ask Junior here. Can you grab the box and let's open it up because we're going to do the big reveal. Now, I can't fit the king cake box on my my table here. Oh, that's my son. But huh?
Oh, I was just asking.
Yeah, just go ahead and cut it.
Oh, can I see?
Huh?
Can I see it if I cut it here?
Can you? What do you mean? Can you see?
and they see it if you cut it.
Oh no, I'm gonna bring it over. You bring it over here to
I
the
see.
studio. Yeah. So this is from Randazzo's, Nana Randazzo's. There's Manny Randazzo's, and I just ordered this. You're probably gonna need to cut it open.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That's I can open it by myself. I just needed you to cut the tape.
Oh, okay.
Ugh, every little thing.
It's all about direction.
I know. There's a guy about to take the MCATs too. So, so this, let me go to my studio shot. This is the king cake. And when you open it up, well, it's kind of got some glare to it, but course, packet of coffee. Actually, this is improved. You can take that. There is a mask in here. No beads. Oh, no, there they are. There's some beads. And then we got the mask, of course. The mask is relatively new. I don't recall getting that. They used to put a plastic cup in there. And by the way, for those of you who are like, what, plastic cups? Man, I tell you what, you could outfit your entire kitchen for a year with all the plastic cups that you caught at a Mardi Gras parade. So this is theirs. And you can see it's, it's through the bag. It's a little bit shiny, but this is very similar in style. They just did braided instead of just rolled out, and the icing's on there. And then this one has a cream cheese filling to it. Yeah. So we'll partake in this in the after show because the person that just handed me the king cake, it happens to be his birthday. So we're going to celebrate all that at one time. All right. So, whether you order the king cakes from the store or you make it yourself, you have access to them. Now, I believe that the king cake that I got from Randazzo's was with shipping, overnight shipping, it was about $65. And not cheap, but not expensive when you consider it's overnight shipping. It was literally made, yesterday. So it's...
Yeah. So is that the one is that New Orleans, Metairie, or is that Slidell?
That's Covington.
Covington. Okay. Yeah. So I guess there's actually 3 Randazzo's because
there might be.
There's like the one in Metairie, I guess, which is Manny's, and I think there's Camellia Bakery, which I think is maybe Slidell, and then this one, Nana, I guess, is in Covington.
Yeah.
And for the aforementioned out of season king cake that we partook in December, that was out of the Slidell branch. Right. So I think they all started from the same family, but they've all branched out.
It's kind of like up here, the Mexican restaurants. It started with like a couple of couples moving up from Mexico. Now they own all the restaurants in the entire Seattle area, and it's kind of fun. So we'll get to cutting those up for the after show, and of course the after show is after this show, and we're about close to wrapping it up here. I did want to mention a couple of things. We now have a new merchandise store that just went live yesterday, and we've populated it with some Mardi Gras merchandise. So I've got T-shirts, I've got hoodies, coffee cups. These are all essential on Mardi Gras Day. Wine tumbler, also essential. And if you drop it, it's not glass, so it will withstand getting bumped if you're at a parade and some jerkweed tips it over and you have to spill it and refill it. It won't break. And then we have a tote bag for obviously Mardi Gras throws, but it works throughout the year. It's great for that. I mean, up here in Washington State in some counties, when you go grocery shopping, you're expected to bring your own bag. You can't get plastic bags without paying for them. So this is a great way to get that. And then, of course, the kids, when they go to the parade, they're going to want to sock out sometime. So we got the pillows here as well. So this is live now. And the cool thing about it is it's at rainycajun.shop. And then right now we have a 15% off special running for all the Mardi Gras merchandise. So you type in code MG2024 and you'll get 15% off your order. These are made to order, so it will take a little bit of time. It's not going to ship overnight. The quickest you'll see them is probably about a week. But that's why I want to give you access to these discounts now so that you can have them, with it being a shortened Mardi Gras season, I wanted it so that you could get it now and have it ready for Mardi Gras Day. Mm-hmm. There's that. And then we have this week, we've got a special show where we're bringing in a gentleman named Spuddy. That his name that he goes by. And he is from where our family's from in Vacherie, Louisiana. And he is going to do a live cooking demonstration of red bean gumbo, which I'm excited about because I've never had. And I know that this is something that he is looking forward to as well. So we'll have a live version of that, and we'll put that up on Facebook and YouTube, the timing and everything like that. I think we set the time, but was it 4 p.m. Central? Is that right? Or 5 p.m.?
No, because I think it's going to be Wednesday. I thought he said 6 or 6:30 is when he usually does his
Central time.
shows. Unless y'all changed it on me.
No, we haven't changed anything. So that means it'll be 4:30 Pacific time.
Your time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Spuddy has been doing this off and on for a couple of years at that time slot, and Spuddy Fauché is his full name. Well, but still, first part is not his Christian name, but anyway.
Yeah, right. He prefers Spuddy though.
Yeah, he can explain it. But anyway, but yeah, he's a great guy. He's the real deal.
Yeah.
And the way people cook outside of the I'm not sure the proper way to say it, but anyway, he's the real deal. Former restaurateur, andouille maker, 30 plus years.
Yep.
And he's a big part of the community out there. So
yep.
If you haven't seen him, you won't want to miss it because this guy's he's good. And actually, he did our Hubble family reunion back in 2010.
Right.
So so he's got a little bit of a association with us from that as well. So
yeah, and somehow I think you mentioned he's like a cousin, but
well, everybody's cousin up and down the river to us. So.
Right, that's right, and not in that way you're thinking. All you people out there at the Dirty Minds, this is just the way the family shook out. So, okay, so then that wraps it for the show. We're going to take a quick break here, maybe about 3-4 minutes or so, and we'll come back at 15 minutes after the hour, and we'll start the after show. And this will be, again, a bit unscripted. We're going to sing happy birthday to the birthday man, whatever he is nowadays. And we're going to partake in some king cake. So please join us for that. It'll be a lot of fun. You can ask questions. We have, both
if
Facebook.
you got your own king cake, you can join in too.
That's right. And you can send pictures, right? You can send pictures. But we, comments, questions, anything like that, save it for Facebook or YouTube. And we'll be more than happy to answer what we can. So until then, we will see everybody for this show live next Wednesday. And until that time, we'll see you later. Join us for the after show. And make sure to hit like and subscribe on your way out. That would be super appreciated. All right. Take care, everybody.
All right. Bye.
Slip my veins, go for contact.